let's break down some trades I'm looking at. First one over here on Aussie dollar Japanese yen. We entered this yesterday and it's going beautifully so far. So essentially, the reason I entered this trade was just a break and retest. So we're on the 4H time frame over here, and we can see that in the time coming up to this trade. So before this trade, we have first of all, we had this massive push phase and then a down phase. And then you can see we start trending down. So we're making lower lows and lower highs. We're breaking structures and we're clearly pushing down. Okay. Then you can see we break above the previous higher low structure, which is this one. Let me just get my highlighter out. This one right here. Okay, so we break above that key level. And once that happens, I start looking for buying opportunities. Because for me, this downtrend is then no longer valid. Okay, because we break above that previous structure. And what I look for next is a retest. And you can see on the 4H, we got that really nice retest, weak rejections. And then if we look at the 1H, we can see a nice double bottom rejection. We have wicks all up through here and a nice engulfing candle. We enter with a buy stop and now we're pushing up. Okay, so I'm going to let this run for a 1 to 3 and we'll see what happens with that. So, this is an important thing. I did a massive backtesting session on the weekend. And before that session, I was trading using a risk to reward, which I thought was most appropriate for that particular trade. So for this instance, I would probably in the past have gone for a 1 to 2 back up to these key levels. But I figured that let's try just use a 1 to 3 in the back tested. And it ended up that I made a lot more money just using the 1 to 3. Okay, so regardless of where any structure is or anything else, I ended up making more money just using a 1 to 3. Okay, so that was a very interesting thing. And I would suggest to you guys, if you guys are unsure of what to use or what's going on, I would highly suggest do some back testing and you'll figure it out very quickly. Okay. There's a similar setup for all of these Aussie dollar pairs, which is looking very nice. So it's setting up nicely. Aussie dollar, US dollar, we can see the Aussie dollar pushing bullish. So we've broken, closed above this previous structure. Now we wait for a retest. And again, we want to see that rejection down here with weak rejections pushing us up after we come back for the retest. So weak rejections, and we could even see something like a double bottom form here before we push up, as well as some engulfing candles. Okay, but this setup realistically is pretty much all over Aussie dollar pairs and New Zealand dollar pairs because they sort of mimic each other. So lots and lots of potential trading opportunities here. You can see NZD USD, we've broken above the recent structure right over here. If you click on the line chart, you'll see that very clearly. So if we see price pushback here and continue up, that is looking divine for some buying opportunities, and I'm excited. But let's see what happens. Aussie dollar, Japanese yen, you already saw. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, you can see we're in a bullish phase again. So we just need to wait for this exhaustion to come into play. Okay, so that's the whole thing we're trying to do here. Trying to wait for that exhaustion. So here's the push. We want to see that exhaustion and the new push phase begin. Again, very important to wait for that rejection with some wicks and engulfing candles. Okay. Yeah, so the key thing with all of these is just to wait for whatever time frame you're using to find the structure of the market. The most important thing is to wait for the 4H or whatever time frame you're using to close above structure. Okay, because often price moves up above structure and then just comes straight back down. So that's why I like to wait for the 4H to close above structure. But I mean, it depends on what you're trading. Okay, so let's push through all of these. You can see similar setup, even looking for buys off of that previous higher high. Yeah, so lots of potential setups here. Aussie dollar CAD looking great as well. Okay, GBP AUD, we can see again this Aussie dollar strength. So we're pushing bearish. We have closed below this recent level. Now we want to see price push back to this key level and create some rejection in the form of wicks, double tops, and engulfing candles. Okay, so if we see this, hopefully we can push bearish from there. And you can just see this downtrend very clearly here on the line chart. So push phase, exhaustion, push. Hopefully we get a new exhaustion and a new push. Okay, so that's all we're doing with this break and retest. And it might seem simple, but then you look at this and you're like, very powerful. Okay, so don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it simple and trust your process. Okay, GBP NZD, very similar again with this New Zealand dollar and Aussie dollar strength, pushing, closing below levels. Need to see that exhaustion and retest. Okay, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You miss out. Let's move on. So GJ, we can see we've been in a range for the start of this week. So we broke above this structure, but then we were just ranging in here. And you can see all these wicks, but it looks like hopefully we can close above this level. And if we see that happen, I'd be happy to wait for price to retest back to this level, pardon me, and create some buying opportunities. Okay, so if we flip to the 1H, you can see that very clearly here. Okay, so we want to see price push bullish before coming back and then going like this. Okay, and again at this level, we want to see things like wicks and engulfing candles, similar to something like this. Okay, so multiple wicks, multiple, engulfing candles, momentum shift, and even a double bottom on that. Okay, so that's what we want to see at these key levels as we come back for that retest in order to enter the trade. Okay.
If you're an aspiring forex trader, we have a free Telegram channel where we're sending trade alerts, ideas, and updates on the forex market every single day in our free Telegram channel. Click the link to join our Telegram, 100% free, and we'll see you inside.